So people have been asking me to cover Trisha Paytas' podcast, My Chemical Imbalance, and I have a little OCD when it comes to these things. So let's start with the first episode here. I watched a little bit of the Dr. Drew one. I was just like mentally checked out. As you guys know, it takes like a special person to sit through an entire video by Trisha Paytas. It's insane. I don't even know how I do it. I feel like I've lost myself. I think I die inside a little bit every single time I watch these. But we're gonna watch the first one, and dude, bro, are you serious? 3 seconds, not even a second in, bro. Listen to her audio.
What's up, everyone? Welcome.
It's all through one microphone.
Podcast mic.
Bro, it's all through one side.
My chemical, and this person has.
I can't watch this. I seriously cannot watch this. Is this how? Is she serious? Is she fucking kidding me? Let's see what episode 2 is.
Oh, okay. So there's.
Oh my god, I can actually hear. Holy fuck, dude! Honestly, I don't think I can actually watch the first episode because I just can't do it. It gives me too much, like, I don't know. I don't even know the word for it. It messes with my, it messes with me. It's just like, it was only coming through the right ear. It's terrible. How does she fuck up her audio on everything? Like, she's been making content for how long? I don't really understand it. Whatever, we're skipping to episode 2.
All right. Hey guys, what's up? Hopefully we are now in stereo on your earphones. Welcome back to my Chemical Imbalance podcast. Yeah, thank you first and foremost for the encouragement and the nice words. I started this channel on a caregiver. Some people need to be.
Who is being encouraging? Like, the top comments are like, the book that she wrote 10 years ago contradicts everything. Watch Dr. Drew. She doesn't officially have anything. Schizophrenia. Didn't she admit that she faked it? Not a lot of encouragement, Trisha. I mean, who do you think's encouraging you? Oh, maybe your other alters. Because you have this dissociative identity disorder, right? So my other alters are really encouraging me. Let's play this on a little bit of increased speed, though.
Channel that already existed, because obviously that channel was just sitting there and it had some subscribers, and I just felt like a fresh start. You know, I really do think my main channel, I love it, I'll never abandon it, but I really do think YouTube is trying to suppress it, and that's fine. It's because of the content I post or posted or whatever.
I doubt it.
So I thought I'd try this different channel out.
You're just not interesting anymore, Trisha. That's it. Like, I'm sorry to tell you that, but like, you just are not interesting because you left frenemies and you were the reason that it ended. So people don't like you. That's pretty much it.
And see how it goes, but also just kind of makes sense because I don't really know if I'm going to be committed to the podcast. I love this shirt, by the way. Mikey fucking way. Inspiration for My Chemical Imbalance. Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of talk about some stuff that was in the comments of my last video because I really, like I didn't have direction for this podcast. A lot of it had suggested guests, and I thought about, you know, like therapists.
Yeah, have me on. That'd be cool. Hi, Trisha. How are you? Sorry for the chewing. I'm hungry.
Or YouTube therapists, or just, you know, in general, because a lot of times YouTube therapists, like Katie Morton, if you guys remember her from the Shane Dawson series with Jake Paul, she's kind of like all the rage, right, for a minute. She's still great, but, you know, then I went with my ex and we talked to her, and actually, like, the vlog of me, I'll just say Jason, on his vlog, it was us going to therapy, and it was for Jason's channel, and she actually made some amazing points early on, because we were only maybe, like, 7 months in that relationship, that I should have just been like, oh yeah, this is a red flag, but a lot of it didn't make the cut because it just went a little too deep and a little too personal. But I was like, it just made me feel a little bit of sanity, I guess. So yeah, anyways, but on that note is I was like, oh, maybe, you know, because at the time I didn't know how to seek a therapist.
I feel like you need a like a counselor or a therapist to review your relationship with Moses, because I kind of feel like he is somehow like emotionally manipulative.
Which is crazy. Like,
after watching like the texts come out, or his ex come out and like talk about the situation, he seems a little bit like methodical in his manipulation.
That should be like 101, right? For everyone should know how to find a therapist. Really, I found mine just Google, like getting in your area and then just finding the ones like the best stars or whatever one you see fit. And so I remember I was like, oh, I want to go to her, but she didn't. I don't think she took on patients. She was just kind of like, she is a therapist, but it was like a YouTube therapist from my understanding. Maybe she had patients that she already started with and like it wasn't taking new ones. And I think that is the case for a lot of therapists, like Dr. Drew. I think they're TV.
I don't think Dr. Drew's a real therapist, is he? Because he's an idiot.
They're entertainment therapists, which by the way, I'm supposed to be going on Dr. Drew's Facebook show live stream next week. So
I'm surprised. I have you on 50% increased speed and you're not speaking that fast. Let's increase you more.
Like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm scheduled to go on.
Hope we can get through this as much as fast as possible.
I'm scheduled to go on, I think, like maybe the 19th.
Yeah, she probably shops around for therapists to get the one that will tell her what she wants to hear, for sure.
It's like the Thursday. It's that week of the teens of August.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I had kind of a long day of filming, so if you don't mind, I'm going to crack open a cold one of my Beach Plum LaCroix, and we're going to get into splitting and did I fake my DID video?
Yeah, you did.
Because there was a comment that said like, okay, we'll just get to it.
You did. Like, that's an objective fact. You faked it. Yes? Why is this? This is a whole podcast? You fake a lot of things. You said you were a chicken nugget one time. I don't understand. Like, you quite literally are on record saying that you just say things that are outlandish for attention.
Here. Okay, so I also have my handy dandy, which I don't know if I'm going to use this for anything, but maybe some notes or some guidance because this is what I use for my own guidance. It's called the Dialectical Behavior Therapy Skills Workbook. My group therapy uses these books.
Great.
There's different workbooks. You kind of get this on Amazon if you want, but it's better to use it with guided. Well, in my experience, guided. But yeah, so let's talk about, okay, so there's two things we're talking about here. Splitting has to do with my borderline personality disorder, and then the faking DID thing kind of has more to do with my schizophrenia, in my opinion.
So I think that she might actually have BPD. She might have borderline. I think me and Mama Gut, we did a podcast and we like actually went through the DSM-5 and we actually diagnosed her. But you don't have schizophrenia. I don't know what you're talking about.
Again, disclaimer, I'm not a therapist or anything.
No kidding, huh?
I really do these videos because I don't talk about like maybe online I talk about it more because so many people are like, thank you for talking about mental health, but in my real life I really don't talk about it with people super close to me because I do feel
that's not true.
A little crazy. I don't want to ever scare anyone. I know it's worrisome. Like I worry about me sometimes and I don't want to talk to my mother or my
I've never worried about you in my entire life. And I'm proud of that fact, Trisha.
And be like, yeah, actually that was just like a voice in my head. Sometimes I'm about to say anything and I'm like, oh, never mind, it was inappropriate or something like that. But in reality, like I thought this person was having a conversation with me. And now it's not so much voices as it is more delusions that I have that I'm having conversations with people. And it's something that sounds crazy to people who don't get it.
Bro, I'm like 100% sure you're just saying things at this point. Because you seem to have like, there seems to be a pattern from Trisha where she educates herself, or this is what she does. She just says something stupid like, oh, I have DID, or oh, I'm trans, right? She did that a while ago. Then she gets a lot of backlash for it. And then she educates herself on what she feels like she would need to do, or she'll educate herself on the symptoms she would need to have in order to align herself with a particular thing. And then she starts saying, oh, I have this. So, like, I don't believe any of these things that you're saying. I just don't. I mean, and if they are true, it's your fault for, like, people not believing you because you're an unreputable person.
Yeah, so there's just a lot happening. All right, so let's talk about splitting. This is something that I actually didn't know the term for up until last year. Like, but it's something that probably identifies me most as borderline. It's probably that big one. And that's basically the all or nothing mentality. That's basically everything's all black or all white. And what it is, it's really like a defense mechanism. And the more I learned about this, like, I think it's important to talk about this because like I don't even talk about this stuff necessarily in therapy, or it's not broken down to me in this way. Where it is.
So the problem that I have here with this, I'm not sure if she's using the term splitting the right way, but what I'm going to tell you is that, so people who usually have like a particular mental health condition, when they exhibit a behavior, it's usually not like a long-term behavior. Or what I'm trying to say is like after they exhibit the behavior, so it's splitting, for instance, where she gets black or white in a scenario. After you've calmed down and gotten through that episode, you'll usually get through it and say, okay, I was being irrational, let me move through this. I was wrong. But she never did that. She decided she was right. with the Ethan thing, and she still doesn't think that she was in the wrong. So I don't think that that has anything to do with a mental illness, even if she has one. I think more than anything else, she's just a shitty, bad person with corrupt moral values that uses mental health as a way for her to justify her really terrible behavior.
Defense mechanism. And we've learned this through like couples therapy. If you are someone who's borderline, it's really, really important that your partner be in therapy with you, for you to understand, because it's really hard to explain. And it's better coming from sometimes an outside perspective, like a third party. But basically, this is a defense mechanism to see a person all good or all bad. Like, I will either love someone completely or hate someone. I'm constantly thinking of people. It's just like a shut off method, right? If someone is all bad, if how you perceive something is all bad, then like you have this like peace of mind, right? It's not these conflict of emotions, I guess you could say, because like controlling your emotions is really hard. I actually have this little thing. When someone is splitting, like literally, you have to understand that it's not a personal it's not a personal thing. Like, you know, if someone's looking at you like, I hate you, I love you, like, it's just not. And that's with all relationships. And every relationship I had, I'm like, that person's either pure evil or it's, you know, all good. Like, we're on the mend, or we're just, I hate their guts. The rest, the relax, evaluate, set an intention, and take action. This is like a good distraction plan when you're in distress. I wanted to also go on to, not go on, but the big list of pleasurable activities for my book. And real quick, because I did make a note. Sorry, just bear with me here.
Oh my God, Trisha.
So basically, and then that's so yeah, science history, something's either complete fact, complete lie, always or never. Oh, this was a big one. When things go wrong for someone who's splitting, a person will feel cheated, ruined, or screwed. And I think this is a big one for me. I always feel slighted. And
Yeah, no. I think that this video possibly is telling about how like very manipulative Trisha is. So Mama Get in the chat was like, oh, when Trisha says something like, you have to understand it's not personal. That's just a justifier for her bad behavior. She's like, oh, it's not my fault, it's my diagnosis. And I know people with mental health issues, and you know, you have to acknowledge that your mental health issue is part of you. So if it is something that your issue, your mental health issue is causing, like I have ADHD. And so, like, if I exhibit a behavior because of my ADHD, it doesn't mean that I'm not accountable. ADHD isn't a magical gremlin in my head. It's something that I have to learn to manage as a person. Like, it is, mental health diagnoses are quite literally just labels for particular behaviors. You still have that behavior, and it's still your responsibility to move through that behavior. So you don't get to just always say, "Oh, it's the fault of my issue." It's because I have this. It's like, okay, no. Like, yeah, you get like a little bit of a break for having a particular behavior as long as you manage it afterwards. Like I said, you can have your meltdown. The next day, you should be all back on up to par. And you should be like, okay, I fucked up. She didn't do that. It's like, how many months later, how many podcasts has she gone on to slandering Ethan? She never gave like a sincere apology. So this is just bullshit. And it's just removing accountability from herself because she's not somebody that wants to take accountability. She's a bad person.
Delusions can go with borderline, but I do feel like my delusions are a little more grander, in part to me schizophrenia.
You notice how she just says that she wants to have mental health problems, if you noticed. Like, you see how she's like, oh, these delusions can be part of BPD, but like I want to have I think it's schizophrenia, even though you don't have a diagnosis of schizophrenia. She's self-diagnosing, and like it does lead me to believe, and it strengthens my perspective on like how that maybe she does shop around for a fucking therapist to give her a BPD diagnosis. Does she even actually need that diagnosis? I mean, everybody has particular markers of things, but that's why there's multiple markers. It just I don't trust her.
And it takes me a minute. Now, saying that, you know, people have weaponized this against me. People will weaponize it against you. And that's the worst part about admitting that you have mental illness is people using it against you.
No.
Most notably lately was Jeff Wittick saying, well, you know, you were on drugs and you went to a mental hospital, so nothing you say is valid. And
I don't know what she's referring to.
Because that's how a lot of people feel. And that's probably how I would feel. And yeah, that was the final straw, was me going to a mental hospital, was the end of my relationship. And rightfully so. That person had kids and, you know. But yeah, the idea of being completely screwed is like, that's just something that then you always are somewhat a victim, but that's when you have to sort of put yourself back into reality, which is like really, really hard to do. Distract yourself from self-destructive. And yeah, you got to do pleasurable activities, self-soothing, all that. We'll get into that in a minute. But So obviously the symptoms of splitting are acting out. This is from verywellmind.com, by the way. Acting without consideration of consequences, denial, consciously ignoring a fact or reality. So this is saying consciously, which is a little bit different than my delusions, which is like I'm not consciously doing it. Like I truly believe in my heart, like I'm in the wrong, I'm in the right. Now, sometimes things come out where I'm like, oh, I wasn't crazy, I wasn't delusional, I wasn't consciously ignoring, but like rather it was a fact, and that's the problem. And with stuff that I put online, like internet drama, if you will, or just things I talk about me and other internet personalities, like sorry, I just said that look right. Like I really, that's why I do take a minute, believe it or not, to really think about what I'm going to say. And
I don't believe that at all.
I really just say, present the truth. And people will laugh because people will be like, there's this thing that's like Trisha's a pathological liar, all this stuff. And it's, I think that's my biggest issue because I have delusions and I know this. And because I have trouble differentiating reality and stuff like that.
No, I'm just not buying this. Shut up. You just lie constantly. It's not the differential, like, it's not like you have an issue of like, it doesn't make any sense. It's not an issue of your perception of reality. It's like you hold on to everything that you think. You think that you're invincible. You always think you're right. There's never been an instance where you actually felt like you were wrong. Like I've heard you talk before for so long. It's just so easy to tell. You always think that you're correct. Like when you get hatred for shit, you've never said, "Oh, I deserved it." You always say that like you get hatred for what you're saying because people just aren't understanding you. You never like admit that you just are a shitty person. I just don't understand. You've never taken accountability for anything in your entire life.
I really have to watch back, listen back to things. There's some stuff recently that I recorded because I had to listen back for myself rather than listen to what people told me or how people edited.
Yeah, she was referring to the last podcast that they recorded where she basically came in and all she did was she came in and Ethan was like, yeah, we're going to do we'll do a last episode and to like air everything out. And she went in there with like guns blazing, blaming Ethan for everything. So he was like, okay, I'm not going to release it. And then she recorded it under the guise of, I needed to listen to it back to see if I was actually being reasonable. It's like, no, you were trying to be a weasel and you wanted to like potentially have something to hold over Ethan's head. So shut the fuck up.
Things. That's the worst thing for me with my delusions is someone telling me something's not in reality when I know it didn't. Now there's times where obviously I forget things, like if there's a tweet from 7 years ago or something, like there's something that I forget. But as far as like putting out something about somebody, like I really do hone it on facts. So if anyone tries to lie on me and say,
dude, your whole thing is like a situation happens. This is what you do all the time. The situation happens. You're wrong most of the time. You speak on it. The other person that you're engaged with speaks on it. They like normal people just let it go from there. You continuously talk about that topic for months, and every single time you talk about it, you change the narrative, and people start to forget like what actually happened because you won't shut the fuck up about it. And like other people aren't going to continuously engage, of course, because that would be fucking psychotic. And that's what you do. It's called gaslighting, Trisha. You quite literally try to gaslight the fuck out of people. Like you don't focus on facts. You are not a factual person. You are an infactual person, right? There you go. I don't understand.
When in reality I didn't, and they implied it, and now everyone says I'm a liar, I'm crazy, I'm evil. But all I did was imply it. Like it's really to me, I was like, that's not my fault, and that's not me being victim because
to me, that's not her fault.
It is easy to have a victim mentality when you have borderline.
You have a victim mentality because you have a victim mentality. Stop blaming your mental illnesses on your shitty characteristics. I've never seen somebody with a mental illness ever like blame their mental illness so much on how horrible of a person they are.
And it's really frustrating. It might be the most frustrating thing because of no one's just going to believe you. And it takes a long time, as we've seen with other YouTubers that I've had issues with that were like deep rooted and also rightfully caused, like to come to light. Sometimes things never come to light. And so you're just kind of like, okay, well, that's what it is. But with the teacher who sexually abused me when I was in the 6th grade, he ended up going to prison for CP on his computer and ended up dying. And so you're just kind of like, okay, well.
Yeah, so here's the problem with that is that like we watched, again, I'm just going to keep plugging it. I mean, you could just look up the Mysterious T video. You could look up my video. I'm just going to be lazy. I don't know why I didn't spell it with an A. Is that like you quite literally, it's right here. It's the video right here. Trisha Paytas before this right here. It's blown up, which is a great thing. You quite literally don't bring this up ever. Your what you're doing, I honestly don't believe that you were abused in the 6th grade because the way that you like, if you look back through this, that's a complete flip on the account that you used to have in the situation. You used to talk about how like in a book you wrote, you used to talk about how like you would dress provocatively to get attention from boys and teachers, which is like whatever. And then you changed it to I never dressed provocatively. Teachers would sexualize me, and then they sexually assaulted me. And then one time a teacher did it, and the principal like laughed at it. And it's like I just don't believe that these things happened. I honestly don't believe what she's talking about. She's full of shit, which is a terrible position to be in, to like not believe somebody expressing that they were assaulted. Like it's fucking ridiculous. I never want to be in that spot. But like Trisha is just not trustworthy.
He did get his. But at the time when I had turned him in or talked about it, I was told, like, I had to literally, like, switch classes because I was told that, like, I lie. And even thinking about that, like, I'm trying to think as, like, a child, and I think through this. I'm like, was I a compulsive liar, or do people just not believe stories that, to me, seemed extreme? They did.
Yeah, no, like, you were, like, on record saying that if I guilt people into things, I get stuff. Like, you're a manipulative person.
Like, looking back, seemed extreme. The more I hear from other people, I'm like, no, this is actually kind of common. Especially when it comes to, like, abuse and sexual abuse. Like, people just did not believe me. I don't know if that was turning a blind eye, or like maybe back then it just like wasn't as open and discussed as it is now, and people believe victims now, and it's better to be safe than sorry. But for some reason I got that so much. And yeah, I guess that's why, again, the compulsive liar thing really really gets to me, because I really don't lie on people, because I do know that like opens up for like lawsuit, and obviously losing the trust of people. I mean, I'm hypocritical, I contradict myself, like there is a lot of that, I have a lot of flaws. But like the lying thing, the only one I can think of that Ethan called me out on the podcast, the one text he did show, he was against showing text, and also was trying to prove that I was this liar. The only text he showed to kind of prove that was like this thing where I said I love the Adams Family movie when I said I didn't on the podcast. And that's also just me hyping people up. And like if that's lying, I guess. But anything, like even if I say I love something when I don't, like it's really just me trying to like hype up an idea. It's not the worst thing. I don't care that people know that, but it was like, okay, well, if you know, I get really upset about this. It's still something that really bothers me ever since filming the final episode. Like it really just bothers me, because people still harass me about wanting to fire the crew and all this stuff. And because that last episode, like he admitted, like, yeah, I didn't say that stuff, and he tried to, and I like find that.
He didn't admit that. Oh my God, shut up, dude. He just said that like you didn't outwardly say it, but he knows you, and he knows that like, and that's what you were trying to say. And I tend to believe him, because for whatever reason, when it comes to you, he's like bizarrely honest. And also gives you way too much the benefit of the doubt. So like people tend to believe his word because he's given you so much like rope, and you're just hanging yourself with it.
I don't want to show up to dance here. He couldn't find it, and it's like opening up a can of worms. And it's just so disheartening. And to say that, you know, that episode he admitted that he screenshotted, like something I thought I was going crazy, but he's like, yeah, I screenshotted your text conversation with the employees that night, and that's why we didn't film the next day. And I was like, oh, so I wasn't going crazy. Like there was something weird going on.
Dude, what is this podcast? This isn't even a fucking podcast. This is her just rambling about like dude. Honestly, what is the point of this? Honestly. Like, what's the point of watching the rest of this? Truly. Like, what's the point? What the fuck is the point? Like, this is what a waste of fucking time. This is just another video she's made. What did I say before? Oh, hey, what Trisha typically does is that she won't shut the fuck up about a situation that happened, even when it's far beyond the point of, like, reasonably talking about it, so that she can constantly reframe the narrative. It's annoying. This isn't a podcast about her fucking faking mental illness. This is just another podcast about Ethan. Like, it's pathetic. It's annoying, and it's pathetic. Is this another one?
Hey guys, welcome back to my
eating disorders.
But at my biggest, I was 200 pounds. The past, my mom, I think now has become to copy me, being like, oh, like if she's crazy, I'm trolling everyone. I'm in control of my crazy. You're not in control of your crazy. You're making yourself crazier. You are. This week I just don't eat anything. You know, meat half tomorrow. And
like I guarantee in this podcast
it is, and
that she talks about how Ethan body shamed her one time, like in a video, because she was like, I don't know, photoshopping herself. But then even though he apologized, like I wouldn't doubt that that's in there. I just like, this is annoying. It just feels like, what's the point? Every one of her fucking videos is just another video about how Ethan's a bad person. And it's like, I'm going to sit here and fucking watch it again? It's like I could watch any of the 400 other videos that you've made before. It's an embarrassing, pathetic thing to watch. It's annoying. It's obnoxious. Like, what the fuck? Just shut the fuck up. Like, we're at a point now where it's just pathetic. Like, it's just pathetic. Like, we all know you're full of shit. We all know you're lying. And we all know that you're trying to reframe the situation once again. But it's been how many fucking months? It's just embarrassing. Like, how are you not genuinely embarrassed for yourself? Like, do you have any self-respect? Like, shut up. Just stop talking about it. It's pathetic. Move on. Like, just stop. It's annoying. It's boring. It's like loser shit. Just stop. You were in the wrong. Take the fucking L and just shut the fuck up. Stop making all of your content about fucking frenemies. It's insane. It's just annoying. Like, I want to sit here again and watch it. I'm going to say the same things I've said 600 other fucking times. It's like, holy fuck, how many times could you say the same goddamn thing? Like, her fucking My Chemical Imbalance show is a fucking scam. It might as well be called, like, I'm going to cry about frenemies every single fucking day that I talk about it. Like, do you have anything else going on in your life that's interesting? Anything. You talk about the same thing every single day. Those people like that are fucking boring. It's like going to work and every single day the person talks about like their car. I don't care about your car. Shut the fuck up. And I don't care about this drama that happened. It's like, shut up. Just shut the fuck up. You don't even need the money. So why the fuck are you talking about it still? It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing, bro. So boring. I can't watch the rest of this. It's a nuisance.